What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, back with another Heroes of the Storm strategy showcase, and today we are taking a look at the first hero from Overwatch to make their debut into the Nexus, and that is Tracer. Now, Tracer enters the Nexus as a ranged assassin, and she is easily the most slipperiest assassin yet. Extremely hard to lock down and kill, absolutely astounding mobility, great kill secure potential, and I'd go as far as to say that when played by a very skillful player, she is easily like one of the top 5 heroes in the game. It's amazing what a skillful Tracer can do. So, let's take a look at her abilities. First up, we got Blink, dash towards an area. Now, this is a short movement burst. Think of it as roughly half the distance of Vala's Vault. You get 3 charges, and you can use this to dodge skill shots, jump into combat, jump out of combat, get that extra little burst of speed you need to pick up the coins that a teammate dropped. And good usage of Blink is really what's going to separate a good Tracer from a mediocre Tracer. Moving on from there, we have Melee. This is on an 8-second cooldown, and this just gives you a nice little burst of damage from melee range. It'll target any enemy that's nearby, so you just got to get up on an enemy and press W. It will always prioritize heroes, and on top of that, you should aim to use this on cooldown, as it's going to give you a nice little chunk towards your pulse bomb. 5% for regular enemies or 10% for heroes. Moving on to our third ability, we have Recall, an absolutely broken ability. This is basically Weaver's ultimate from Dota, just worked in as part of your base kit. We basically use this, and wherever we were 3 seconds prior, we will return to. On top of that, we'll remove all negative status effects, so if you have damage over time abilities like Zul's Poison Nova or Living Bomb, it's gone. If you have a Pyroblast coming at you, it's gone. If you just dove behind enemy lines to secure a kill, you can teleport back. It is absurd what you can do with Recall with a little bit of practice. Moving on to our trait, we have Reload. You can basically move while continuing to attack, and on top of that, we can reload manually. As we fire, our guns will empty on out, and then there is a short period, 0.75 seconds to be exact, over which Tracer will reload before beginning to fire again. The last thing that's important to mention is our heroic. Tracer, right now at least, is the only hero to start with her heroic at level 1, and that is Pulse Bomb. Basically, anytime we deal damage to enemies, this will charge up over time. When it hits 100, you can throw it on out. Instead of getting a second choice at a heroic, we are able to upgrade Pulse Bomb in various ways when we hit level 10. Really fun ability to use. It's very satisfying to run up and stick it on somebody and then just peace on out and watch them blow up. So we're going to go through the talent build real fast, ready up, and then go in depth into them. But for the build, you're going to want to be going Slipstream at 4, Untouchable at 7, Spatial Echo, 10, Pulse Rounds, 13, Ricochet, 16, Sleight of Hand, and then at 20, Total Recall.
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
She is just adorable. So to kind of go in depth into the talents while we're waiting for the queue, so I'm not going to be doing much explaining in match just because she is a high skill cap hero, and in the earlier attempts to record her, I found it quite challenging to explain talents while playing her. So level 1, the main reason for Slipstream here is because of how powerful Recall is, taking 4 seconds off the cooldown, and then on top of that, increasing the time from 4 seconds in the past versus 3. That's just a massive upgrade, and in comparison, Tracer rounds and Pulse Strike just don't match up. At 4, Parting Gift, we're not really using Recall in a position all that much where it's going to do damage. Sometimes it's misdirection, so we don't get too much worth out of that. Is that a health pack? Why is this even a talent? Whereas Untouchable, even though you can lose this on death, you're going to be getting takedowns a lot as Tracer. Tracer is probably one of the better kill secure characters in the game right now, just because her chase potential is so powerful. So that's just a nice buff that it's going to constantly be building, and on top of that, as you get more skillful with Tracer, it's actually quite difficult to kill Tracer, meaning that the bonuses lost upon death isn't too much of a drawback. At 7, the main reason we're going for Spatial Echo here is because after recalling, usually you're going to recall when you get in trouble and you're trying to reset your position. Sometimes that might reset your position back into the middle of the fight. Sometimes it might be far away where you're safe. Whatever the case is, when we use recall, we're going to want to be able to blink on out of there real fast, and this talent will allow that. A comparison, getting the cooldown lowered, I don't feel is all that necessary. As long as you manage your blink charges fairly well, it's not really something that I haven't found like, oh my god, I wish I could blink right now in the middle of a fight. But I'm pretty good at managing them. Getting the 4 charges via jumper, not a bad choice to be honest, but even with that being said, I feel that ultimately making sure I have 2 choices anytime I recall is going to be more powerful. At level 10, the 3 potential upgrades for her ultimate include a larger AoE and slowing effect. The second choice increases the single target damage, and the third choice, which is the one we're going to, increases the charge rate against heroes by 150%, as well as increasing the range of the bomb.
Get ready for combat.
And real quick, can we just take a second to appreciate how adorable she is? Look at her with a cute little dance. But yeah, as I was saying, pulse rounds, the big thing is that's going to increase the range of our bomb, because right now the bomb is very short, almost melee range, so getting that increased range helps a lot. And then on top of that, 150% charge rate is fantastic. You know, single target damage, just not worth it. And while the increased radius by 50% and slow can be nice, ultimately I feel that that's just going to be outclassed by the faster charge rate and easier range. At 13, Ricochet, 50% chance, especially as fast as we're firing, adds up quite quickly. I have seen some people taking Bullet Spray. Honestly, because we have, you know, basically 100% uptime on our auto attacks, I'd rather have damage coming in via that than relying on Bullet Spray for melee damage. And leeching rounds, you know, it's not worth it. We barely deal any damage to begin with, so you're not going to really see a huge benefit from that. So let me talk about how Tracer actually works in combat. So as you can see, if I right-click an enemy, there's now this blue reticle around them. Anytime an enemy has that reticle, that is the enemy that you have designated as your attack target. And basically, as long as you're within range, you will continue to attack. As you can see, it will auto-pick up targets when targets are dead, but if you want to harass a hero in lane, you're going to have to manually select that hero, otherwise you'll just end up shooting the creeps or whatever's there. So, back onto the talents. As I mentioned, leeching rounds not worth it. Your damage is so low you barely even see it. At 16, the reason we're going to go for Sleight of Hand is because Sleight of Hand, although not the largest DPS increase, the big thing to remember here is reloading twice as fast. You know, like I said, 20% more damage per second, but more importantly, getting those constant reloads is going to allow us to get Pulse Bomb up faster because we're firing more frequently. And at the end of the day, being able to throw out our ultimate more, and then on top of that, because you're already worried about blinking around and using your melee and recalling, while I like Locked and Loaded, it's very similar to the active recall feature of Gears of War. It's basically identical. That's just one more thing to try and manage in the middle of blinking and popping melee and throwing your pulse bomb. And as I mentioned, Tracer she's a very dynamic hero. So dynamic that even though I like Locked and Loaded and I like the extra 35% damage increase it'll give per magazine, it's not something I want to try and worry about just because I want to focus on, you know, staying alive and avoiding targets.
Capture them heroes and be quick about it.
Yeah, so that's the main reason there. Locked and Loaded is a cool ability though. Come on, get that Illidan. Goddamn, evasion just won't go down. Alright, let me get this. Focus Fire, never take Focus Fire, because the main problem here is that you have to empty the entire magazine on one person. And especially at higher levels of play, no one's just going to sit there and let you just continually shoot them. You might have to switch target. Whatever the case is, it loses its effectiveness. Locked and Loaded, it is nice, but like I said, that's one more thing to manage. Basically the way it works, I'll show you real fast here. You see that reload bar? The second half of it, D. That's how you'd have to do it. But like I said, we're going to be going Sleight of Hand, just so it's not something that we have to consider. Though I do think you'll see Locked and Loaded a lot more in professional play. Maybe not though, because of the faster recharge on bomb. People might like Sleight of Hand there as well. As for 20, it's really no contest. You know, total recall, allowing us to heal when we pop recall is just astoundingly powerful. So much so that leaving a second bomb or using Get Stuffed, they're not even like real considerations. So that was kind of a shitty recall, but it raises a good point. Because recall is going to return you where you were in time, like if I'm back here and I run in and then recall, I'm going to jump all the way back. If we're sitting here circling around in a team fight and I use recall, that won't be the case. So do keep in mind your positioning when you use recall. You know, poor usage of it, and you can end up recalling back into the enemy team, which you certainly don't want that to happen.
Wish they had a pub round here. Speed kills.
How are we doing so far? Doing fantastic on damage. Look at that. Do they not have a tracer? They do. Except their tracer's doing terrible on damage. Actually, we'll stay up here. No. It's 10 seconds. Just gotta get down. But I love how powerful she is as like an anti-melee. Like, look at this Zera. He's just like, bitch, I can't kill her. What the fuck? You just stay on them, and they can't get away. Oh! So right there, good actual example of why you're going to want to upgrade that. You got to see just how short the range is on that ability. And like I said, grabbing the upgrade at level 10 is really going to help us out with that, giving us the extra range to make sure that that would connect with heroes anytime we do it. When we run up top, let's talk about some ways to counter Tracer. Now, despite how slippery Tracer is, skill shots aren't something that's going to get her. However, auto-on abilities, we'll call them, stuff like Polymorph, where you just click and it hits, stuff like Uther Stun, those will. So keep that in mind. If it's not a skill shot, there's, you know, no way she can dodge it. Stuff like Tyrande Stun, no chance. Good Tracer will never be hit by those abilities. Some other things that I've found effective just against while learning her and playing her. Diablo actually does a fairly good job at locking down Tracer just because you can shadow charge and then overpower again. And when done correctly, that works out quite well. Oh no, Illidan! Oh man. Illidan can do a pretty good job, but wow, Zera. That was astounding. I think that was more the 4v2, 3v2 into a 4v2 situation than Illidan. Either way, now we got pulse rounds, so you can see the range is much nicer now on it. Makes it a lot easier to land that ability, especially since we're going to be dipping in and out of combat. Come here, Illidonger.
So they return. Capture the altars quickly.
He's dead. Oh, he just survived it? That blind was kind of pointless. With the melee. Ah. Screw it. Really wanted to get that Tracer. So the easiest way I find to play her is once you're attacking, just pretty much hold down right click and wherever you move your mouse. Let's head back on top, get our soak on. Still doing astounding DPS, as you can see. Like I said, while your burst damage isn't all that high, you know, you're no Li-Ming, you do have very high damage per second, just because that adds on up and doing quite a bit. So let's go mess with Illidan. One-on-one Tracer can dookie all over Illidan, just because every time he tries to dive, you're going to dash. You can see I already got Pulse Bomb up again.
Got it.
Whoop! Just kidding. No bomb.
Killing spree.
I'm going back for a bit.
Now, unfortunately, you can't hearth and then recall. That is something that won't work, despite being able to do that with Weaver and Dota 2.
To the altars. Do not disappoint.
This time, not a thing you can do.
Do not let the altars fall into the Raven Lord's talons.
Yes.
Our towers assail the Raven Lord. Well done.
How impressive. Picking up the
Raven Lord will not keep me from this realm.
Wish they had a pub round here.
A very solid lead right now.
Gotcha. Yes.
Oh man, fight is going down. See, we're already up to 50%. Nope, sorry, Zera. Head up on top. Get to that top lane and get the farm.
Heroes, I have opened a tunnel near our core that leads to the battlegrounds center.
Right. Now, sleight of hand for even faster reloading. Basically instant.
Soon, the altars will be ours.
Yeah, we're gonna clear out this wave, I think, first. The altar. I'll get my bomb up.
Your enemies keep falls. You've lost a few heroes. The altars belong to those who claim them. That means you. The Raven Lord will fall before me.
Auto reload. No, Artanis, we're coming, baby. I was half expecting Zera and Illidan to show up, but I guess not.
We need these mercs for backup.
Goodbye, Brightwing.
You are not prepared. Send his servants to their grave.
Silly Illidonger. You should know better. Tracer like that.
Wait for it. Yes. Fall back.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not even using melee like on cooldown. You know, I'm not using locked and what's it? Active reload? No, locked and loaded. Yeah, like this is. I'm doing pretty well as Tracer, but you can do a lot better than this, and the damage just gets just absurd. Absolutely absurd. Illidonger. Get to Illidan.
The altars stand ready. Capture them before the Raven Lord's pawns do.
Oh no, Zera, no! If I'm dead, so is Zera. And there's Illidan. I'll give it, that was smart though. He waited until after I recalled to pop the hunt. That's pretty much exactly what you want to do. Unfortunately, they lost the team fight. So busy chasing around a slippery Tracer that the rest of their team got mopped up. And that is a GG.
Victory!
Oh, 5-star for sure. So, at the end, oh, Li-Ming just barely beating us out on damage because it's Li-Ming. But I beat her on siege, which is kind of odd. Then again, I was throwing out bombs to help kill structures for how fast it recharges, and that's fine. So once again, going through the talent build, Slipstream, Untouchable, Special Echo, Pulse Rounds, Ricochet, Sleight of Hand, and then lastly, Total Recall at 20. Even though we didn't get it, as I mentioned, it probably makes you one of the best duelists in the game, because you can get into a fray with somebody, they'll pop a bunch of crap on you. You hit that button, and all the damage they just did is gone. And you reload. And you're back in a safe position to re-engage or leave if you want. Doesn't matter. So either way, guys, that is Tracer. Definitely a ton of fun to play. At the same time, definitely a very high skill cap hero. You know, being able to switch between targets when you need to, dash in and out of combat. It does take a bit of practice to get used to, but once you master it, man, is it rewarding. So, thanks for coming on by. I know a lot of you guys are still wondering when we're going to fully resume with daily heroes again. Obviously, I'm still kind of balls deep in Dark Souls 3, and the build videos for that are actually coming quite soon for anyone that's coming here from Dark Souls that's curious. But either way, there will be more heroes content in the future. As always, I do still enjoy playing the game. So thanks for coming on by, and we will see you guys next time.